NFC South Division crown came down to the last day of the regular season, so it seems only fitting that the teams that were in the mix play each other during the wild card weekend. The Carolina Panthers will go to New Orleans to take on the Saints because the Saints won both regular season meetings and thus won the division. Oddsmakers installed the Saints as 6-point favorites, and we have not seen a whole lot of movement off that number so far. The total is up there at 47.5 points, and it has come down from the opener of 49.5. The Panthers were favored by 5 and lost at home early in the year, and the Saints were favored by 6 and won later in the year, so we see this number open at -6. The Saints were a -4-point favorite on the opener for that December 3rd game, and it makes sense that the number would pop there for this game. The Panthers went 11-5 straight up and 9-6-1 against the spread after falling short last week against Atlanta. Statistically, this game is a pretty noticeable mismatch. The Panthers only managed 5 yards per play this season while allowing 5.3 yards per play. They really ran well on the right side of variance and managed to win 11 games and own a plus 36-point differential despite being minus 0.3 yards per play. Cam Newton didn't have the best of years with a 22-16 touchdown interception ratio and a 59.1% completion rate. Neither Jonathan Stewart nor Christian McCaffrey were close to 4 yards per carry. Christian McCaffrey did wind up with 1,086 yards because of 80 receptions for 651 yards, but he only had 3.7 yards per carry. From week 9 on through, McCaffrey averaged 4.7 yards per carry, so the Panthers found better ways to utilize their most diverse offensive player. A healthy Greg Olsen would help, but the Panthers only got 17 catches on 38 targets from him. To put it frankly, the Panthers don't win with offense, and when they do, it has to do with Christian McCaffrey. We will have to see if Cam Newton has one of those MVP-esque performances left in him this week. In 2 meetings against the Saints this season, the Panthers allowed 362 and 400 yards. Given what the Saints did to most of the NFL's teams, that was an admirable showing. Carolina was great in the red zone, holding opponents to a 47.7% success rate, which easily cracked the top 10. The Panthers allowed 5.3 yards per play, which rated in the middle of the pack overall. Carolina's all-or-nothing style against the pass will make for an interesting game here. The Panthers had 50 sacks, but allowed a 63.8% completion rate, over 11 yards per catch, and had them 20th in adjusted net yards per pass attempt. Whether the Panthers are able to get to Drew Brees could be the deciding factor in this game. The New Orleans Saints also went 11-5, but had those 2 head-to-head wins over the Panthers. New Orleans wrapped up at 9-7 against the spread with a loss in Tampa Bay as a 6-point favorite. Once it was clear that Carolina was going down, the Saints lost their edge and failed to finish off the Buccaneers. The Saints led the NFL this year with 6.3 yards per play. It wasn't as impressive a number as Atlanta's league-leading 6.7 yards per play last year, but the Saints were the most balanced offense in the NFL. It is scary to think about a 38-year-old Drew Brees with just 536 pass attempts, his lowest total since 2009 when he had 514. He completed a career-best 72% of his passes with a 23-8 touchdown interception ratio. The Saints led the NFL with 4.7 yards per carry. Mark Ingram had a career year, and Alvin Kamara fit that Reggie Bush type of role that gave the Saints so much success earlier in Brees' career. Kamara and Ingram both had over 1,500 yards from scrimmage, and superstar wide receiver Michael Thomas caught 104 balls for 1,245 yards. It's hard to keep track of all these weapons when you're an opposing defense. The Saints had the most efficient passing offense in the NFL with 7.7 adjusted net yards per pass attempt. Lost in how impressive the offense has been is that the defense also took some massive strides from past seasons. The Saints were regularly among the worst defenses in the NFL, but some smart drafting and developing turned the Saints into something like a league average defense. The Saints were inside the top 10 in adjusted net yards per pass attempt against, but did struggle to stop the run. The Saints were 27th on 3rd down though, which is why the yards started to mount especially late in games. Carolina's offense managed 288 yards and 279 yards against the Saints, so New Orleans had the right formula to shut down this division rival in the 2 previous meetings. It is hard to go against the Panthers and Cam Newton, but the statistics certainly do not support the case of an 11-5 team. Maybe Carolina is just one of those teams that finds a way to get it done, but the Saints have the stats to back it up and will be at home in the Dome, where Breeze has been historically much better throughout his career. The Panthers have mostly played up to their competition, but the Saints comfortably controlled both previous meetings and should do so here again. Our pick and prediction is for the New Orleans Saints at -6.5.